Today, we're exploring a really fascinating story. It sits right at that crossroads of crypto, global residency, and, well, a major financial hub, the UAE. It's honestly a compelling case study in just how fast information or maybe misinformation can spread these days. So recently, this blockchain platform, the Open Network TON, you might know it, they made a pretty big announcement claiming they were offering a sort of direct pathway to UAE residency for crypto investors, a golden visa, they called it.
Right. And for this deep dive, we're sticking to the most solid sources we could find. Official press releases, from the UAE's news agency, WAM, plus joint statements from the key government bodies. We're talking the ICP, that's Identity, Citizenship, Customs, Port Security, the SCA, the Securities Authority, and VARA, the Virtual Assets Regulator. We've also looked at some interesting social media chatter from people in the industry. So our mission today, let's unpack what TON initially claimed, get into the UAEs really quick and very clear response, and figure out what it all means for you, especially if you're following crypto or global mobility or just, trying to keep up with how information flows in these really fast-moving fields.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack it. What exactly did the Open Network TON put out there about UAE residency? They had this big announcement, described themselves as, that blockchain platform spun out of Telegram, and they unveiled what they specifically called a new pathway to UAE residency, offering these 10-year golden visas. The requirements, well, they sounded pretty straightforward at first glance. You'd need to stake $100,000 worth of their coin. Tomcoin.
TON token.
Yeah, the TON token for 3 years. And then there was a fee on top of that, a one-time processing fee of $35,000.
Not insignificant.
Not at all. And they even promised a quick turnaround. They actually stated applicants could secure your golden visa in under 7 weeks.
7 weeks. That sounds fast.
Right. From document submission to the visa office, they said. And TON also mentioned their UAE-based partners would handle the whole process, visa processing, residency confirmation, all of it. And here's a bit that probably caught the eye of crypto investors. TON claimed you'd keep control of your assets through a decentralized smart contract verifiable on their blockchain during the whole staking period.
Okay.
Plus, they promised yields, estimated annual yields of like 3% to 4% on the staked TON coin. So a nice little incentive there.
Yeah, adds a bit of sweetener.
And it wasn't just for the individual applicant. The golden visa supposedly covered immediate family too. Spouses, kids, parents. No extra cost beyond standard government fees, apparently.
Okay, so quite comprehensive.
But maybe the biggest hook, the thing they really pushed, was the cost. That $100,000 staked TN, they framed it as a 5x lower entry point.
5 times lower. Compared to what? The standard routes.
Exactly. Compared to the conventional UAE golden visa options, which usually need what, like $540,000 minimum, often in things like real estate, so pretty illiquid assets.
Right, it's a significant difference on paper.
Definitely. So
Well,
thinking about that initial announcement, what stood out to you? It seems almost too good to be true in some ways, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, and that's exactly where it gets really interesting. Because the UAE authorities had a very, very different take on it.
Okay, so the rebuttal.
Pretty much immediately after TEN's claims surfaced, the UAE's official news agency, WAM, basically shot down any idea of a partnership, just flat out. Then they followed up with more detail in a later press release, clarifying things with a joint statement from those key authorities we mentioned.
The ICP, SCA, VRA.
The big players. And their message couldn't have been clearer. They explicitly stated, and this is a direct quote, "Golden visas are not issued to digital asset holders."
Period.
Wow. Okay. No ambiguity there.
None. They went on to confirm that, yes, there are regulations for digital currency investments, but these are, and again I'm quoting, unrelated to golden visa eligibility. They also put out a warning, urging investors, basically telling everyone, get your information from credible official sources, to avoid misinformation or outright fraud.
Makes sense.
And VARA, the Virtual Assets Regulator, added another crucial point. They clarified that the company, TON, is neither licensed nor regulated by VARA. Before that denial really spread, though, was there any immediate market reaction? Did TON's claim move the needle at all?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Initially, Toncoin's price jumped. It surged over 10% right after the announcement, trading around $2.98, I think, which is interesting because even with that jump, the coin was still down significantly over the past year. But it just shows you, right? A big promise like that, even before it's fully checked out, can really shift market sentiment fast.
Yeah, that's the crypto space sometimes. But it does raise a good question. Even with that price surge, were people skeptical from the get-go? Did some folks already have doubts?
Yes, definitely. There was skepticism. For instance, Bobby Yong, he's a co-founder of CoinGecko. He posted on X, formerly Twitter. He acknowledged that the 5x lower entry point would, quote, certainly get the attention of whales, big investors, right?
Sure.
But then he immediately added, and this is telling, I really hope this is not some temporary scam announcement. It will stay for a long time. So you can hear the caution there.
Yeah, definitely hedging his bets.
And there was another voice, Joe Hedgehog, a partner at Sigil Fund. He put it even more bluntly on X. He suggested that maybe a third-party provider is using TON as a proxy to help their clients get a golden visa, maybe under the entrepreneur category or something.
So not TON directly partnering with the government, but someone else using TO.
Exactly. He finished his thought by saying, kind of sarcastically, they could have used Fartcoin instead.
Okay, right. So basically saying the choice of TON might have been arbitrary or opportunistic, not indicative of an official deal.
Precisely. It really highlights that feeling from some corners that this probably wasn't a real government partnership, but maybe more of a, let's say, creative marketing angle by someone.
So even while the price was popping, there was this undercurrent of, yeah, caution, maybe even cynicism from people who watch the industry closely. And turns out they were right to be cautious.
Absolutely. Which, brings us to the bigger picture. If we zoom out a bit, why is the UAE the setting for this kind of story? Why is it such a focal point?
Good question.
Well, it's because this whole incident, this alleged crypto residency program, it happened while the UAE is genuinely actively trying to position itself as maybe the primary global hub for blockchain and crypto.
Right. They've been making a lot of noise about that.
A lot of noise and taking real steps, too. They really are aiming to lead in digital finance. Look at what they've been doing recently. Just last month, the DFSA, that's the regulator for the Dubai International Financial Center, the DIFC, they approved Ripple's stablecoin, RLUSD.
Yeah.
That's a pretty sophisticated regulatory move.
Oh, okay, yeah. Shows they're engaging with established players.
Exactly. And back in May, Dubai's main crypto regulator, VIA, updated its rules to specifically include real-world asset tokenization, RWA tokenization.
That's a big one, tokenizing real estate and things like that.
Precisely. It gives companies a clear, regulated pathway to actually issue and trade tokenized real-world assets. It legitimizes a whole new digital asset class within their framework. And you just see the companies flocking there. The Dubai Multi-Commodity Center Free Zone, they've attracted over 600 crypto companies already.
Wow, 600.
Yeah, and more are setting up in the DIFC and the One Central District. So there's real momentum. They are serious about building this ecosystem.
Okay, so the UAE is genuinely putting pieces in place to be a leader here. It's not just talk. So what is the specific incident, the TON visa claim and the SWIFT denial? Tell us about that ambition. How does it fit in?
Well, I think what this deep dive really shows is this kind of inherent tension, doesn't it? You've got the speed of crypto, information spreading like wildfire, sometimes unverified. And on the other hand, you have the deliberate, careful, centralized communication style of a sovereign nation, especially when it comes to official things like immigration and regulation.
Right, two very different worlds colliding almost.
Exactly. So for you, if you're navigating this space, the big takeaway has to be about verification, doesn't it? It shows how critical it is to understand that official government policies and sort of crypto project announcements operate on totally different levels of reality sometimes.
Yeah, it's not just about double-checking a fact. It's about understanding where that information is coming from and the weight it actually carries. Digital buzz versus official policy, they're not the same thing.
Not at all.
And that point you made about the tension is key. The UAE is trying to be this welcoming, innovative crypto hub, encourage growth, attract talent and companies, but at the same time, they have to maintain strict, clear, official control over things like visas, citizenship, financial regulations. You can't have just anyone making claims about government programs.
Absolutely not. It undermines the very trust they're trying to build.
Right, so this incident really just lays that balancing act bare, doesn't it? The need for both innovation and rigorous control. Which brings us, I guess, to a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. Given the UAE's clear ambition to be a global blockchain leader, how might incidents like this one, where a project makes these big, unsubstantiated claims about government partnership, how might that affect the trust and maybe even the pace of that development?
Yeah. Does it make regulators more cautious? Does it make legitimate projects harder to distinguish?
Exactly. Something definitely worth considering as you continue learning about this constantly evolving space. Keep thinking critically.